Welcome back to For Goodness Sake, where I look for ways to extract the good parts of Mormonism and bring them into my new, more secular worldview. Today's topic is redemption and personal change for the better. I'm mostly going to talk about one of my favorite films of all time, Ben-Hur. And yes, I'm talking about the old Charlton Heston Ben-Hur, not the new one. And I'm going to talk about how its meaning has changed for me throughout my deconversion process. Spoiler alert, okay, I'm going to give away some of the ending and the way that Ben-Hur turns out. Hopefully, you'll all just keep watching anyway. It's a fantastic film, though, if you haven't had a chance to go see it. It's also long, so block out some time for yourself. All right, so Ben-Hur. I'm basically going to give you the really short Reader's Digest version of the plot here. And I'm just going to focus in on the two main characters, Messala, the bad guy, and Judah Ben-Hur, who's the good guy, the hero, the protagonist. Messala is a Roman. This is set in the times of Jesus Christ. They grow up together, and they're friends. They're childhood friends. Messala, as a Roman, leaves to go get his education and sort of grow up and really mature as part of the Roman military and spending time in Rome and other places. And of course, he has all kinds of opportunities that Judah doesn't have. But Judah is also apparently rich, kind of aristocrat among the Jews. So he has also many opportunities to increase his fortune. He has servants, whatnot. The story really centers around the two of them coming back together as adults and realizing that they are no longer on the same page. Right towards the beginning of the movie, things go downhill pretty quickly, where Messala asks Judah to help put down any kind of uprising or threat to the Roman government, and Judah refuses to help, being a loyal and faithful Jew. And this becomes a huge divide between the two of them that they never really overcome. So the main character, Judah Ben-Hur, gets wrongly accused of a crime that he didn't actually commit, but he gets thrown in jail, and Messala, realizing that he can make an example out of him, condemns him to die as a slave, essentially, in the galleys, sends him off to row in a Roman ship until he dies. And Messala, of course, doesn't expect to ever see him again. Judah ends up surviving, even thriving, becoming friends with powerful Romans, such that he's able to come back and basically seek vengeance on Messala. Their whole revenge narrative culminates in the chariot race, one of the classic scenes from Ben-Hur. And of course, the emotion around the chariot race really centers on this personal rivalry between Messala and Judah Ben-Hur, and the feelings of anger that they mutually have for one another. Judah ends up winning. He wins the race, and he ends up kind of accidentally, but kind of on purpose. He ends up killing Messala. Judah got his revenge, but he doesn't feel satisfied. He doesn't feel happy. One of the biggest reasons is because he's still missing his mother and sister. So he's searching for them. He eventually finds out that they have become lepers, outcasts, a fate worse than death. And Judah is just torn apart when he finds this out and realizes that, the great evil in the world, Rome, has taken away his best friend, turned him into an enemy to the point where he ended up killing him, has taken away his mother and sister, his family been torn apart, his life ruined, and he blames all of this on Rome and the things that Rome represents. So he becomes an enemy of Rome, and he becomes someone who is seeking vengeance against Rome. The whole story culminates in basically his realization that living with anger and living in a state of perpetual vengeance against Rome is just not a good way to live. And this is really the theme of the movie, is that and the overall lesson is that love and peace represent just a better way to live and to be than to live continually with hatred and anger and trying to fight against Rome. I didn't really even talk about Esther, but Esther is really the key to bringing about this change in Judah's life. Esther brings to Judah the teachings of Jesus Christ. She's apparently been out there and seen Jesus Christ, and tells him on a number of occasions that he needs to let go of this anger, that this hatred is tearing him apart. One of my favorite quotes is when she tells him, "Blood begets more blood as dog begets dog. Death generates death." Such a powerful quote, and very true. And so eventually Judah's heart changes. It's brought about throughout the movie. He has kind of these short encounters with Jesus Christ that he doesn't really understand or know who this person is, but his heart slowly over time accepts that softening, and then it culminates when Judah Ben-Hur is present at the crucifixion, sees Jesus Christ dying, and afterwards he says, almost at the moment he died, referring to Jesus Christ dying, "I heard him say, 'Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do.'" And then Esther replies, "Even then," meaning even then, in that moment of pain and death, his thought is to forgive. Judah Ben-Hur replies, "Even then, and I felt his voice take the sword out of my hand." This is really the emotional climax of the entire movie, where the sword is now out of his hand and he accepts a change of heart, a new, more peaceful outlook on life. So, as a Mormon, I just love the encapsulation of the atonement, of the redemption that can come through Jesus Christ, right? I love this story of finding personal peace through understanding Jesus Christ. I love the message of violence and hatred being not a good way to live, and that peace and love can come into our lives. So how has this changed for me? Well, I still love most of those things. I just don't believe in a magical power of Jesus Christ to do this to our souls. And to be honest, as I look back at this movie, I realize Judah Ben-Hur's life was changed through personal interaction with the people who loved and cared about him, especially Esther. She's the one who teaches him, not Jesus Christ, and she's the one who facilitates the change of his heart to accept that he needs to let go of the sword. So I used to believe that there really was kind of a magical power of Jesus Christ to come into our heart and remove that hatred, where now I believe that the true change in our lives and the removal of hatred from our hearts comes through other people, comes through people that we love and through their expression of love towards us, and how that relationship between people can change us for the better. So are there any secular sources that show a similar kind of change of heart, but without any reference to a God or Jesus to, perform that change within people? Well, one that comes to mind is one of my absolute favorites, Wicked, the musical by Stephen Schwartz. Just a fantastic musical. Similar to Ben-Hur, in Wicked, Elphaba is this character who has hatred and vengeance in her heart, and eventually changes for the better. And I'm going to read for you some words from one of my favorite musical numbers. It's a song called "For Good." And this is a song that Elphaba and Glinda sing to each other. "It well may be that we may never meet again in this lifetime. So let me say before we part, so much of me is made of what I learned from you. You'll be with me like a handprint on my heart. And know, whatever way our stories end, I know you have rewritten mine by being my friend." And just to clear the air, I ask forgiveness for the things I've done you've blamed me for. But then I guess we know there's blame to share, and none of it seems to matter anymore. Like a comet pulled from orbit as it passes a sun, like a stream that meets a boulder halfway through the wood, who can say if I've been changed for the better? I do believe I have been changed for the better. And because I knew you, I have been changed for good. I just love the play on words. They're changed for good, meaning they're both changed for the better and permanently, right? And this is the effect that we have on each other. This is what we do to each other. We change each other. We help each other. Just as Esther helped Judah Ben-Hur, just as Elphaba and Glinda helped each other, we have effects on one another in our lives, and we can help each other to change for the better and for good. So in conclusion, let's treat each other with empathy and kindness. Let's share wisdom with those we love, like Esther sharing the teachings of Jesus with Judah Ben-Hur. And let's each of us look for ways to invite peace and love into our lives, doing good for goodness' sake.